when I survived this almost suicide, I went to find peace and clarity and figure out what is the purpose to life. And I ended up in this little church out in the country. There was no one there, but the door was unlocked, so I let myself in. Beautiful, church buildings are beautiful, got stained glass and everything. But I didn't believe in God at the time. I was like, God's not real. If God was real, why would I have such a hard time with my mental health? That doesn't make sense for God to leave me like this. And but it was a peaceful place, and I needed peace. So I sat down in the church, and I thought, oh man, I ought to really share my sins out loud and say all the things I'm sorry for. So I had confession in church by myself. Didn't believe in God. I'm like, God, if you're real, I'm sorry. And Jen, I listed it all out. It took like an hour and a half. I swear to you. And but I was on a mission to find the purpose to life. And so I say that because simply stating the things that I was sorry for literally lifted a weight off my chest. Like I could breathe better, to feel peace in my life. And like I said, these are things that are very important to us. We need to be able to breathe. So in that moment, I thought, okay, I need to pray. God, if you're real. And I encourage everybody, at some point in your life to pray, God, if you're real, because you'd be surprised what happens after that. And when I said that prayer, I started asking for help with my little sister. I said, God, if you're real, you got to help my little sister, because I'm about the worst big brother there is. And, made so many bad decisions. And so as I'm going through praying for every member of my family, I literally heard a man somewhere in this church sanctuary say, walk with me.
Wow.
And I stood up, I said, who's there?
Yes.
Couldn't find a person. Not on the parking lot, no doors open, nothing. Nobody is. I actually went through the whole building, got a self-tour. There was not a soul. So it's still a peaceful place, but I was actually pretty terrified at that point.
I understand.
You know what I'm saying? Because I heard this man, and so I just went back to that sanctuary and still felt a little peaceful, but kind of terrified. And I'm like, God, if you're real, I'm gonna need you to help me right now, because there is a man somewhere in this church and I'm scared. And if I'm crazy, then I'm gonna need help with my brain, because I definitely heard. So as I'm praying for my family and I'm going through this, I heard, walk with me, same man. And then I'm freaking out. I've heard it twice, so I'm not crazy at this point. Like, it's real, right? Yes. It's not just my head playing tricks. So I was praying for help because I was scared. And the third time, this man said, walk with me. Ooh, Jen, right in that moment, I realized that the voice was actually now in front of me. And so I opened my eyes and I saw Jesus Christ in this ray of golden light, like the sun was behind him, but like coming out of him too. And I guess he was just wearing like a white robe of light. I don't know. All I could see was a smile on his face, and his eyes were like lights, shining, like diamonds, or like a bright light, and just glistening and beautiful, and this white light. And he just smiled, and I saw like a hand come out of this white robe of light. And he said for a fourth time, he said, walk with me. And I actually just fell on the ground and started crying, because I was so overwhelmed with love, joy, and peace. I had never really felt those emotions like that. And it was so powerful. The only thing I could really do was just lay on the floor and cry. And I mean, like ugly cry, like just snot, tears everywhere. Like, the beautiful thing was I remember clearly not having a thought. I was not thinking. I was only experiencing this emotion. And it was so positive. It saved my life in that moment, because I said yes. I discovered that Jesus is alive, that Jesus loves me. Jesus has a goal of walking with me through life.
Yeah.
And so when I said yes, I immediately got a gifting with music. Like, I started to hear a song in my head that I hadn't heard before. And I'm like, it's like, you know, you listen to the radio and you're jamming, you get it stuck in your head, but I had never heard it before, and that had never happened before. So, you know, I'm still seeing Jesus there. Laying on the floor crying for a while. Now I'm like, okay, yes, and I'm gonna follow you. And then the music's playing in my head, and so I'm like, Jesus, what is going on? He said, go record it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I mean, you're the boss, like, for sure.
Yeah.
And